Sagittarius, Sun, Moon, and Rising. This is your tarot reading for the week ahead. A big week ahead. We have 4 major arcana out of 5 cards. When that typically happens, there are big lessons, big energies coming in from the universe to support you. Yeah, so don't expect a quiet week by any means. Quite in contrast to many of the other readings, particularly star signs like Aries. We start with the 9 of Cups, the Lord of Happiness, or the Lord of Material Happiness, a card that indicates contentment, satisfaction, joy, and there's lots to be joyous about, lots to be self-congratulatory about. I don't think I said that right, but you know what I mean. To congratulate oneself. Because we have in the middle some quite strange cards in comparison or in contrast to that 9 of Cups energy, because we have the Moon card and the Death card here. And sometimes seemingly quite stark energies here. What's fascinating to me is that you've got the 2 towers right in the back there of the Death card, and these are exactly the same 2 towers that appear in the Moon card. And we have just poking between the towers in the back of the Death card, the Sun, which is the next card. So there's a beautiful transition going on, and I feel that that's a perfect word for your week ahead. It's a point of transition. It's a point of letting go, as represented with the Death card, particularly when it comes to fears. Strange question, perhaps, but I would really look at, what do I fear most in life? Is it a fear of failure? Is it a fear of loss? Is it a fear of not having enough? Is it a fear of embarrassment? Is it a fear of being seen? What is the greatest fear that is playing out in your life at the moment? And I ask that question not to stir anything up, not to bring about any sort of anxiety, quite the reverse. There's a feeling of this week of you certainly overcoming your fears. And this is something that Sagittarius is great at doing. There's that optimism, there's that forward reaching energy of, no, we're going to strive for more, we're going to strive for better. And that's really, really lovely to see here. So therefore, the Moon representing the unknown, the unknown path, and very much our fears. But there's just a sense of just letting all of that go, so there being a feeling this week of, it's small fry. Those things that we have assumed will have huge ramifications, huge implications in our life. Do you know what? If I survive this, it's absolutely fine. Because we move to this place of the Sun, which represents freedom, expansion, illumination, joy, feeling at ease around things. And there's this big contrast between the Moon and the Sun, right? The Moon can also represent the yin aspects, the more passive aspects, that place of reflection, that place of that inner world, and the Sun representing more of the outer world, that yang aspect, that point of doing. Therefore, it's talking about this need to resolve things internally so that we can live a more aligned, brighter, and freer existence. And this for me is that journey, and you feeling very, very satisfied and pleased with yourself that you've managed to achieve and accomplish that. There's that wonderful saying, isn't there? Feel the fear and do it anyway, or that you should do something every single day that makes you afraid. And there's a real opportunity here to be stepping outside of your comfort zone, to be facing up to your fears, to be kind of be putting your fears into proportion, into just looking at them going, actually, I don't know why I was so het up about that. I don't know why I thought that was such a big deal. There's that wonderful quote from Cher, of all people, that often says that her mum once said to her, if you're not going to remember this in 5 years' time, then it's not worth fretting about. And that's sometimes a really, really useful rule of thumbs, those things that we assume that are really big, because the moon can certainly represent that. When the moon is low on the horizon and the dog and the wolf are looking up at this moon, and because it's bigger than usual, they don't understand it and they start barking and baying at it. So there's I can almost hear laughter about this. So whether retrospectively things that you have feared the worst, and then this week there's some resolution about that, and then you're laughing and going, I can't believe I even thought that was going to be an issue. I can't believe that I painted the worst case scenario around this, because when it's arrived, it's like it's actually turned out to be a blessing, or it's turned out to be much more of a boon than I'd anticipated. Really, really lovely energy. So certainly a time to be looking on the bright side of life. If anybody is able to encapsulate that energy of optimism, of hope, of brighter days ahead, it is you, Sagittarius, to do what you do best. And finally, we have the energy of the Empress closing out the reading. It's a card that we saw in the Leo as well, so certainly something that's coming up for many of the fire signs. And it was something that was also seen, not directly the Empress, but an energy that was similar to in Taurus. And it's indicating and talking about creation. 3 is the number of growth. And there's a big question that is being asked across the board to all zodiac signs of what are we trying to birth? And I know that may sound a slightly strange turn of phrase, but what are we trying to bring out into the world? There is this combination with the sun and the Empress, the Empress being the mother card and the sun being the sun card or the child card. Therefore, it might be talking about those dynamics as well. But more importantly, it's talking about what do we want to bring into the world and how are we going to do that? And particularly, what do we want to bring into the world that will not only make ourselves happier, but make those around us happier too? And where we have perhaps been slightly in a place of paralysis and holding back because of the fear of stepping outside of our comfort zone, because of that fear of trying something new, this seems to be certainly a shifting point and a turning point. Partly why I said right at the beginning, this is a big week for you. And they're showing me this image of standing on a platform and it revolving. So coming out of this week with a very different perspective than when we're entering into it. So really, really exciting. And therefore, a time to be asking some of those deeper questions of yourself. I hope that helps. Be very, very interesting to know if you have rising or moon in Leo or Taurus, because this big energy of creation coming through. So let us know in the comments below. But other than that, have a wonderful, wonderful week, and I shall see you in 7 days. Bye then.